Fingerstyle guitar isn't actually that hard, it just feels hard because most of the time your hand is doing far more than it actually needs to. But when you see behind the curtain, when you see all your hand really needs to be doing, it gets so much easier. And most players describe the same things. They talk about their hand jumping when they're playing, their fingers feeling tight and clawing, maybe their sound being a bit sharp and disconnected when they're playing. And the frustrating part often is that the harder you try, the more tense your hand gets, the more tired it gets, and all of your technique just seems to collapse instead of getting better. So people naturally assume that the problem is either the strength of the hand, or maybe they should have started the guitar when they were younger, or their hands are too big, or the one that's a pet peeve of mine is they're not talented enough. That is what I refer to as the forbidden T word. But I can tell you it's none of these things, and a great example is a student of mine who was in his 80s when he started playing. He thought he'd never be able to play because he had severe arthritis, he could barely move his fingers, but he jumped forward in his playing, had amazing tone, because we were doing less. Technique isn't about adding more to what you're doing, it's about stripping away the things you don't need and just keeping in the things you actually need that are going to make a good sound on the guitar. So let's get into some ideas and show you how. If you're looking to push forward your fingerstyle guitar playing, I put videos out every single week, so come join me for more, like and subscribe. The first thing to look at is more simple than most people expect, and that is how much space is between your hand and the guitar. If your hand is fairly flat on the guitar, there's no space in your hand. And if there's no space in your hand, your fingers don't have any room to close. Instead, they have to claw. So by lifting your hand away from the guitar, your fingers now have space to move, and we want them moving as naturally as possible with no compromises because of this lack of space. If your hand doesn't have enough space, your hand is going to try and compromise, do workarounds to this without consulting you first. So it's going to jump to try and make space, or your finger's going to claw to make the most of that tiny bit of space your hand has. And all of these different compromises are going to be bad for your tone. If your hand's clawing, you're going to have hooked fingers with disconnected sharp notes. If your hand's jumping, your hand has to come back to the guitar before playing the next note. Obviously, neither of these are a good idea. You can see that none of these are related to the T word or to your age, to how long you've been playing. It's just compromises that we want to strip back and get out of the way. And the main thing we want to focus on to do this is the setup of your hand. And this is where we want to introduce one of the key concepts behind all technique, which is most people focus on the sound that they're making and improving the sound. But you can't directly just improve the sound. So people take a step back and look at the movement their hand's making. But this also isn't going to really be the place you want to be tackling the problem. The issue is everything starts from position. Your hand position dictates the movement that your hand has, and the movement your hand has dictates the sound you get out of the string. Because of this, we want to focus on the position of our hand, as that 100% dictates the movement, which dictates what we want, which is a great sound. And of course, extra bonus, if you're getting these things in place, your hand's going to relax, it's going to feel good, you're going to speed up naturally, and everything else you want out of your technique. So the fix for your right hand isn't just to relax, it's not just to stop jumping, stop clawing, as these things are coming from the position your hand's in. So to start with, give your hand some space between the palm of your hand and the guitar. This wants to be a full finger length away from the strings. When this is in place, your hand is not going to need to do jumping, it's not going to need all of the clawing, and these different issues will start to sort themselves out naturally as they're not needed anymore. If these ideas are making fingerstyle guitar look a little bit less daunting and a little bit more possible for you to push forward to where you want to get to, come join my free community where I can look directly at your hand, what you're doing, and give some direct feedback that'll really help push you forward. Also, if you want to see a video about my 3 favorite exercises, check this one out here where I break down the ones that I find the most useful for my playing, and I hope they help you as well. I'll see you in there.